Discover the incredible journey of a single mom carrying her son daily life-changing CEO revealed. Every morning, before the sun peaks over the horizon, Sarah can be found gently lifting her son Ethan onto her back. It's a ritual they share, one that sparks warmth in the chilly morning air. He giggles, his laughter cutting through the quiet streets of their struggling urban neighborhood. To anyone else, it may seem simple, but for Sarah, it's more than just a routine. It's a symbol of love, strength, and her unyielding determination to give her son the best life possible. As they walk the worn streets to the local community center, Sarah feels the weight of the world on her shoulders. With 2 demanding jobs and a bright young boy who needs extra attention, the daily grind never lets up. The judgment from neighbors and passers-by stings, a reminder of the American dream slipping through her fingers. Can a single mother, exhausted yet hopeful, ever really catch a break? The community center is more than a building to Sarah and Ethan, it's a lifeline. Inside, walls adorned with bright murals give warmth to the otherwise drab surroundings. Here, Ethan finds encouragement, support, and kindness. Like a lighthouse in a storm, the center beams warmth into the lives of those who seek refuge. Through this community, Sarah meets Rita, a compassionate retired veteran who runs a charity devoted to uplifting families like theirs. With each shared story and empathetic nod, Sarah begins to feel a flicker of hope. Perhaps, she is not alone in this fight after all. On one ordinary day, as she walks with Ethan on her back, the unexpected happens. A local entrepreneur, in a suit and tie, pauses to stare. He is moved by the sight of this mother and her child, both strong yet vulnerable. With a warmth that brings both apprehension and excitement, he approaches Sarah, offering mentorship and financial assistance to help her reach her dreams. It's a lifeline thrown into turbulent waters. This could change everything for them, a touch of stability, a glimmer of what could be. But with this opens a doorway to pressure. Suddenly, she is in the spotlight, having to juggle the demands of this incredible opportunity, along with her daily grind, all while keeping her son's needs front and center. Just as she starts to believe a change might finally be on the horizon, disaster strikes. Ethan falls seriously ill, the light in his eyes dimming. Sarah's heart shatters. Should she pursue this chance for a better future, or stay by her son's side? It's a moment of raw agony, contemplating a decision that could alter the very fabric of their lives. Tears mix with her fears as she wonders, is her love for Ethan powerful enough to keep her anchored, or is this the moment that could catapult them into a brighter future? In a world watching and waiting, Sarah feels the weight of every decision, each one punctuated by hope and sacrifice. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Sarah stands at the crossroads of her life, uncertainty looming large. Will she find the strength to choose her dreams, or will her love for Ethan keep her anchored in the present? With the world watching, she is left with an undeniable question: can a single mother truly have it all, or must she always make a choice? The weight of Sarah's decision hung heavy in the air, almost tangible. Ethan's small body lay in his bed, his usual sparkle replaced by feverish breaths and a pallor that tore at her heart. As she stroked his forehead, the warmth of his skin felt alarmingly foreign. In this moment, nothing else mattered. Not the mentorship opportunity, nor the dreams she fought so hard to nurture. Just Ethan. The room was dim, filled with the sterile scent of antiseptic that felt oppressive. She pulled the chair closer, resting her elbows on her knees, staring at the precious boy who had been her entire world. His eyelids fluttered as if caught between sleep and the pull of illness. Each little sigh twisted something inside her. She wanted to trade places with him, to take the pain from his tiny frame. As she sat, the what-ifs raced through her mind. The entrepreneur had seen potential in her, a spark that was now dimming under the weight of worry. The thought of leaving the opportunity, of turning her back on a chance to change their lives, gnawed at her. But how could she, even for a moment, think of anything other than her son? The room's silence was thick, punctuated only by the sporadic beep of the heart rate monitor. A nurse entered quietly, her presence offering a brief flicker of normalcy. "He's stable for now," she said gently, noting Sarah's overt concern. "We just need to keep an eye on him." Stable. The word settled uneasily in Sarah's gut. How long could stable last? Minutes? Hours? She felt the ground shifting beneath her feet. Just then, the door creaked open more, revealing Rita, her unexpected ally. Standing in the doorway, a comforting smile graced her face, but the concern in her eyes mirrored Sarah's own turmoil. "Hey there, I thought I'd come by," Rita said softly, her voice wrapping around Sarah like a warm blanket. Sarah managed a shaky smile, her throat tight with emotion. "Thank you for coming." Rita stepped in, sensing the storm brewing within Sarah. "You don't have to say anything. I'm here for you both." In the familiar silence that followed, Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. This woman, a stranger just weeks ago, had quickly woven herself into the very fabric of Sarah's support system. "I don't know what to do, Rita," she admitted, her words tumbling out like heavy stones. "I can't leave him, but this opportunity, it could really help us." Rita reached out to squeeze Sarah's shoulder. "You're not alone in this. You never were. We'll figure it out together." Inspired by Rita's warmth, Sarah's gaze shifted back to Ethan, whose breathing had grown steadier. Perhaps, even in the deepest moments of despair, help could be found in community. She thought of the support group that met weekly at the community center, the people who shared their stories, their struggles, and their victories. As Sarah pondered this, a faint smile appeared on Ethan's lips. A sign of something more? Or merely a fleeting moment of comfort? Hope swelled inside Sarah, washing over her savagely. In an overwhelmingly chaotic world, she craved a whisper of promise, evidence that brighter days could lie ahead. Maybe this was what it meant to truly balance love and ambition. Could she harness this experience, transform it into something powerful? The thought gave her a renewed sense of purpose. But as she looked at Ethan, she was still inundated by fear. What if she wasn't up to the challenge? Steeling herself, she asked Rita, "How do I find that balance?" "Sometimes, it's the hardest choices that lead us to the most beautiful outcomes," Rita replied, her eyes glinting with knowing. The journey was far from finished. Sarah could feel the next chapter beginning to unfold, uncertain yet thrilling. What if she could find a way to blend dreams with the love of a mother? Just then, the door swung open wide, startling both women. A small, frail voice broke through the tension. "Mom." It was Ethan, his blurry eyes searching for the source of comfort. And in that moment, Sarah knew she would fight tooth and nail to hold on to both her son and her dreams. But the real question remained: was the journey ahead paved with hope, or would it lead to deeper struggles? Ethan's voice felt like a lifeline, pulling Sarah from the depths of her turmoil. "Mom," he repeated, this time a bit stronger, more urgent. She rushed to his side, pushing aside all her tangled thoughts. "Hey, buddy," she said softly, brushing a stray lock of hair from his forehead. "I'm right here." His eyes, though still clouded, held a flicker of the vibrant blue that used to light up their home. "I'm confused," he murmured, each word a tiny burst of courage. Sarah's heart tightened. "I know, sweet boy. It's okay. Just focus on my voice. You're safe." Ethan squeezed his eyes closed, a frown marring his innocent face. "I don't like feeling this way. I want to play." "Oh, Ethan," she whispered, biting back tears. She wanted so desperately for him to play, to laugh, to be the little boy who took everything in stride. "You will again. Promise?" His voice cracked, reflecting all the fragility she felt inside. "I promise," she vowed, though a part of her felt the weight of that promise pressed down on her chest. She wanted to scream that everything would be all right, but the uncertainty loomed like a shadow in the corner of her mind. "We just need to get through this, okay?" He nodded slowly, as if absorbing her every word, still lost in that hazy realm between illness and recovery. Just then, a doctor entered, breaking the fragile moment. The doctor carried not just a stethoscope but an air of authority that demanded attention. "Good evening, Sarah," he said, his expression serious yet kind. "Ethan is doing a bit better. We need to keep him on the floor for a few more hours, but he is responding well to treatment." "Does that mean?" Sarah paused, daring to hope. "We're cautiously optimistic. With rest, he could be up and moving soon," the doctor replied, offering a reassuring smile. Night swallowed the room in shades of muted gray, casting soft shadows across the wall. Sarah felt a little piece of hope ignite inside her, but it was hard to hold on. All the while, her dreams pulled at her like magnets. "Ethan, I'll be right here," she said, wishing to bridge the space between uncertainty and safety. "I'm not going anywhere." As she settled back in her chair, something profound shifted in her heart. She thought about her dreams again, the mentorship opportunity, the vision she had for their life. Was it fair to want both? Was it wrong to hope for success while sitting next to her son's frail body? Rita's words echoed in her mind. Hard choices can lead to beautiful outcomes. She closed her eyes for a moment, letting the comforting rhythm of the heart monitor become a backdrop to her thoughts. If she could find a way to pursue her passion for her son's sake, maybe that was the balance she needed. "Mom, can you tell me a story?" Ethan's voice pulled her back again, softer this time, like a plea for comfort. "Of course," she said, feeling warmth ripple through her. With his eyes slowly drifting closed, she began weaving a tale of adventures and dreams, where magic existed and anything was possible. Once upon a time, there was a brave little boy who could make the sun shine just by smiling. She watched as his breathing steadied. But as her voice filled the space between them, doubt slithered into her thoughts again. What if this was just a temporary victory? What if, when the hospital doors opened to the outside world, she found herself at another crossroads, faced with decisions that felt too big to bear? Just as she finished the story, Ethan's eyes fluttered open again, filled with fatigue but something more. "Mom, will we be okay?" Staring back into those innocent eyes, Sarah felt her insides twist. "We'll find a way," she replied, though the words tasted bittersweet on her tongue. That a soft knock broke the moment. The door creaked open, revealing a familiar face illuminated by the hallway lights. It was Patrick, an old friend from the community center, a friendly smile plastered across his face. "Hey, I brought some things for you. You need a break." "Thanks," Sarah offered weakly, feeling her heart race with every bit of hope and uncertainty surfacing in her gut. As Patrick stepped inside, Ethan grinned faintly, momentarily distracted. But the question lingered in Sarah's mind like a weight she couldn't escape. Could she really balance this new world of hope with the fear that loomed in the shadows? And just outside this hospital room, life continued to unfold in ways she had yet to discover. Patrick settled into the chair across from Sarah, his demeanor a comforting presence in the dim room. He set down a brown paper bag filled with snacks, but Sarah barely noticed. The eerie beeping of machines surrounded them like a quiet reminder of the world outside, a world where laughter echoed and sunshine bathed everything in warmth. "Ethan, look what I brought you," Patrick said, his tone brightening. Unfolding the bag, he revealed a small toy car and a handful of candy. Ethan's eyes lit up as he reached for the car, his fingers wrapping around it as if it were a treasure. "Thanks, Uncle Patrick," Ethan exclaimed, his previous despondency dissipating for a moment. Sarah watched, a small smile tugging at her lips, but it was bittersweet. She loved seeing her son happy, but that happiness felt like a flicker in the darkness. "Just take it easy, buddy. Remember, you're still recovering," she cautioned gently. "Ah, Mom, I'm fine," Ethan insisted, playfully rolling the car across the bed, its wheels making soft sounds against the sheets. Patrick caught Sarah's glance, his eyes silently asking how she was holding up. She forced herself to nod, but inside, the turmoil was fierce. She felt like she was spinning plates, her son's health, her aspirations, everything precariously balanced on a tightrope. "Sarah," Patrick began, his voice steady. "I haven't seen you this way in a long time. I know it's tough, but you can lean on me. You've always supported others, let me support you now." The sincerity in his voice struck her. How many times had she spent long hours helping others without thinking of her own needs? She swallowed, emotions swirling inside her. "I don't even know how to ask for help," she admitted, her voice wavering. "Just start by talking," he replied. "What do you need?" It was a simple question, yet so laden with meaning. Sarah took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "I don't want to lose sight of everything I've dreamed about, while being here for Ethan." The truth spilled out before she could hold it back. "What if this never ends? What if I'm stuck?" "There's no shame in pursuing your dreams, Sarah," Patrick said. "Ethan needs you, but he also needs to see you thrive." His words wrapped around her heart like a lifeline, though doubt still gnawed at her. "But what if I fail him? What if I chase my goals and he needs me more?" Everyone needs to believe they can be both a parent and something more. It's not selfish, it's human. You can do this. His gentle encouragement filled her with hope, yet the weight of her fears loomed heavier. She looked over at Ethan, who was dangerously close to drifting off again, his new toy nestled beside him. "I just don't want to let him down." "He loves you," Patrick said softly. "He'll understand. And when he sees you accomplishing things, it'll inspire him." Just then, Ethan's eyes fluttered open again, peering at them. "What are you talking about?" he asked, his voice groggy. "Nothing, buddy," Sarah replied, forcing a cheerful tone. "Just talking about how strong you are. You're my superhero, remember?" "Yeah." Ethan beamed, holding the toy car tightly. But as he settled back, his expression shifted slightly, something deeper, a flicker of worry. "Mom, are you sad?" Before she could respond, the tension in her chest tightened again. "No, sweet love. Just thinking about how to make sure you're always happy." Ethan's brow furrowed in concern. "Can we go home soon?" She nodded vigorously, though her heart sank. "Soon, I promise." As they sat in quiet anticipation, the atmosphere shifted. Hours passed, and the distant sounds of nurses and hospital equipment filled the space around them. Patrick quietly occupied his time with Ethan, sharing stories of their last fishing trip, and Sarah closed her eyes, letting warmth fill her spirit as laughter mixed with the sterile scent of antiseptic. But even as the laughter danced through the air, a new thought crept into Sarah's mind. What if pursuing her dreams meant sacrificing precious moments with Ethan? Would the opportunity slip through her fingers like sand? A knock on the door broke her reverie, and a nurse popped her head in. "We have some plans for Ethan's treatment tomorrow. He may be feeling better sooner than we expected." Hope flickered, but beside it, doubt wrapped around the edges. Was she ready for whatever came next? As the conversation drifted, she could feel the future closing in on her. Did she have the courage to embrace her path forward, to chase the dream and still support her son? And the most urgent question lingered: what decisions lay ahead that would shape not just her life, but Ethan's as well? The next day dawned slowly, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Sarah sat on the edge of Ethan's hospital bed, watching the sunlight filter through the thin curtains, casting soft shadows on the walls. She felt an anxious flutter in her stomach. Today was crucial. The nurse's words from last night echoed in her mind. Ethan's treatment could change everything, but what would that mean for their lives? Ethan lay asleep, his face peaceful, a stark contrast to the chaos that often gripped her heart. She brushed a finger across his forehead, tracing the contours of his features. "You're so brave, buddy," she whispered. Despite her own fears, she drew strength from him. He had always been her superhero, fighting battles she could hardly comprehend. How could she not fight for him? Patrick appeared at the door, coffee in hand, a gentle smile on his face. "Morning, warrior," he said, making his way into the room. His easy demeanor lightened the heaviness that lingered in the air. "Morning. Did you sleep okay?" she asked, hoping he hadn't taken on too much stress. "Surprisingly well. I dreamt we were all at the lake, just like before," he replied, his eyes twinkling. Sarah felt a warmth seep through her worries. "Those days were good, weren't they?" "Yeah." Patrick leaned against the wall, observing her closely. "You ready for today?" "I'm trying." She gave a tight smile, but it faltered as uncertainty settled back in. What if this doesn't work? What if Ethan has to suffer more? "Trust the people who are here to help. They know what they're doing," he reassured her. "And if it doesn't go as planned, we'll figure it out together." Together she repeated the word, testing it on her tongue. The weight of it was comforting. A soft rustle pulled their attention back towards Ethan, who stirred and blinked sleepily. "Mom. Uncle Patrick." His voice was a husky whisper, but it was enough to send a rush of love through Sarah. "Hey there, champ," Patrick greeted, walking over to lean closer to him. "How are you feeling this morning?" "Like I could conquer the world," Ethan declared, attempting to sit up, but Sarah gently helped him reposition. "Let's take it one step at a time, Superman," Sarah chuckled, her heart swelling with pride. As the morning wore on, Ethan's energy surged. It was infectious. They engaged in silly games and shared laughs, and for brief moments, Sarah gave herself permission to forget about anxiety. The laughter rang bright, echoing against the sterile walls like the sweetest music. Then the nurse returned, clipboard in hand, with a professional yet warm demeanor. "All right, Ethan. It's time for your treatment. Are you ready?" He looked at Sarah, his gaze steady, searching for assurance. She met his eyes. "You are so strong. You've got this," she encouraged, her voice unwavering despite the knot in her throat. Ethan nodded, confidence gleaming in his hazel eyes. "Yeah. Let's do it." As they walked toward the treatment room, Sarah's heart raced. She held Ethan's hand tightly, her insides churning with fear and hope. Could she still chase her dreams while holding on to this incredible bond? Patrick fell in step beside her, his hand brushing against her shoulder, a silent promise of support. "Whatever happens today, you've got a team behind you," he whispered, but as they rounded the corner, and the clang of machinery filled the hallway, doubt crept in again. Were those dreams of hers going to fade away into distant memories? Before she could lose herself in the could-have-beens, she felt Ethan squeeze her hand. "Mom, remember what you told me? We're superheroes." His innocent reminder sparked something deep within her. Yes, they were superheroes. They could face anything together. Standing at the door of the treatment room, they breathed in unison, waiting to take that next step. But outside these walls lay decisions heavy with consequence. Sarah recognized the need for a delicate balance between nurturing her child and pursuing her own ambitions. As the nurse beckoned them inside, she took one last deep breath, her resolve hardening. Faces washed with courage, she entered the unknown, what lay ahead for Ethan, and for her. Could the path she chose lead to hope, healing, and their dreams together? As they stepped into the treatment room, a new wave of emotion struck Sarah. Bright lights illuminated the space, making it feel sterile and foreign, yet a flicker of warmth still lingered, perhaps from the promise of healing. Ethan settled onto the treatment table, his small frame dwarfed by the oversized equipment around him. She glanced at the machines with their blinking lights and whirring sound, symbols of hope and fear intertwined. Patrick moved closer to Ethan, his presence grounding. "Look at all this cool stuff," he said, trying to lift the mood. "I bet I could fly that spaceship." Ethan chimed in, his eyes wide with a child's boundless imagination. Sarah chuckled softly, grateful for their kid-like banter, which helped lighten the room's atmosphere. As the nurse prepared the treatment, Sarah squeezed Ethan's hand tighter. "You're so brave, love. Look at you," she encouraged him. But while she spoke, doubt gnawed at her heart. She struggled with what this journey would ultimately mean for them. Could they truly navigate the path ahead, or would it change their lives in ways they couldn't predict? The nurse, a kind woman with a calm demeanor, caught Sarah's eye as she prepped the medications. "This is a big step, but he's in good hands," she said reassuringly. "We've had great results with this treatment." Ethan peered at Sarah, sensing her unease. "Mom. You good?" His voice was small, yet it held a strength that mirrored her own. "Just a little nervous, lil Superman," she replied, masking her fears with a smile. "But I know you've got this." "All superheroes get nervous," he reminded her, his seriousness stirring a knot of pride. It was amazing how he could comfort her just as he needed her support. As the nurse began administering the treatment, Sarah closed her eyes for a brief moment, breathing deeply. Her heart thudded in rhythm with the ticking clock on the wall. Each second felt heavier than the last, staring at her son's small body surrounded by machines. Could this be the moment that changed everything? The sound of the treatment pumping through the floor was an odd mix of relief and dread. It felt like a lifeline and a plummet all at once. She glanced at Ethan, who was busy watching the nurse with a mix of curiosity and determination. "What's that?" he asked, pointing at the needle. "It's like a magic tool that's helping you," Patrick chimed in, trying to spin it positively. "Just think of it as the ultimate superhero gadget." Ethan giggled. "Cool. I hope it gives me laser vision." Sarah felt warmth spread through her. Yes, indeed, their world was filled with small miracles, even in the darkest hours. While uncertainty still clung to her, there was also something undeniably precious in these moments. As the treatment progressed, she found herself lost in thought, the room fading away as memories of laughter and adventures flashed before her. She thought of the lake, the summer nights filled with stars and dreams, days when worries felt light and laughter floated on the breeze. But would those memories fade? Could she bridge the gap between those joyful days and the uncertain road ahead? With every heartbeat, she felt the weight of her dreams alongside Ethan's fight. She wanted a future filled with laughter, not just surviving, but thriving. It was a daunting hope, yet it flickered brightly within her. Then, as the treatment ended and the nurse prepared to disconnect the floor, Ethan looked up at her, his eyes shining with a confidence that she wished she could possess. "So, what's next, Mom? Can we fly yet?" Her heart swelled. With a grin that reached her eyes, she said, "You already are, buddy, you just don't know it yet." But even as she spoke, a thought crept in: what if their fears took flight instead? As they wrapped up in the treatment room, the nurse clapped gently, her voice slicing through the haze. "You did amazing, Ethan. Now, let's keep that superhero spirit alive, there's more to come." Standing together in that moment, Sarah felt the knot in her throat loosen slightly, yet a new question tugged at her heart: if she were to soar alongside him, what would it take for her to overcome her own fears? With eyes on her son's hopeful face, a rush of determination surged through her. But just beyond the door, the reality of their future loomed large. Would they be able to face it together? The moment they stepped outside, the hallway felt almost unending, and she sensed nothing was ever truly guaranteed. What awaited them on the other side of that uncertain threshold? Would they find the courage to build a life full of dreams, or would they falter beneath the weight of their fears? As they stepped out of the treatment room, the fluorescent lights gave way to the softer glow of lamps lining the hallway. Sarah glanced around, filled with a mix of hope and apprehension. The stark walls, painted a sterile white, felt like barriers rather than pathways to healing. Ethan, energized from his recent adventure in the treatment chair, nestled his tiny fingers into hers. "Mom, can we go get ice cream? I was really brave. Superheroes love ice cream." His enthusiasm was contagious, igniting a flicker of brightness in the dim corridor around them. Patrick smirked as he looked down at Ethan. Ice cream. After what you just did? You deserve a whole sundae. Sarah couldn't help but smile. Okay, ice cream it is. But only if we go home first and change. I think we all could use a little downtime. Ethan's face lit up like a Christmas tree. Can we watch a movie too? A superhero movie? Just as long as we don't end up in a battle over the remote, Patrick chuckled, tussling Ethan's hair affectionately. Walking through the hallway, Sarah felt the weight of their next steps. The world beyond seemed daunting, filled with unpredictable twists and turns, but little moments of joy from Ethan fueled her courage. Maybe they wouldn't have to face everything at once. Perhaps building their way back to normalcy could start with small celebratory rituals like a family ice cream date. The front desk greeted them with a cheerful hello, and as they exited the building, Sarah took a deep breath of fresh air that felt different today. It was still laced with worry but edged with a hint of possibility. She looked down at her son, who was bouncing alongside Patrick, his laughter echoing in the air like sweet music. Driving home, the streets blurred past in a haze of vibrant colors and sounds, a stark contrast to the sterile world they had just left behind. Music from the radio filled the car, and Sarah turned it up, letting the familiarity wash over her. Each song carried fragments of memories: family road trips, picnics at the park, Ethan's first birthday, when balloons filled the sky and laughter reigned free. Can you believe how brave you were, buddy? Sarah asked, breaking the silence of her thoughts. Do you think I could be in a superhero movie now? Ethan asked, eyes bright with excitement. Absolutely. You're definitely the main character, Patrick replied, winking at him through the rearview mirror. As they pulled into the driveway, sudden anxiety washed over Sarah. What would they face when the euphoria of today faded? What if the worries buried under their excitement burrowed back to the surface? She slipped out of the car, shaking off the fears like an unwanted mantle. Once inside, the three of them settled on the couch, lounging like they were home from a long day at school. First came the ice cream with all the toppings. Ethan's eyes widened with glee as sprinkles spilled across the table. They debated flavors, sharing laughter over sticky fingers and melted drips on their laps. But as they turned on the movie and sank into the cushions, Sarah felt the familiar knot tighten in her chest. The film played on. Superheroes battled villains, facing overwhelming odds with courage. And here she was, a mother desperate to be that hero for Ethan, but grappling with her own vulnerabilities. Could she summon the strength to fight their battles alongside him? Would she lose pieces of herself while trying to save him? As the movie's climactic scenes unfolded, her thoughts tangled in a whirlwind of what-ifs. It was a reminder of the delicate balance of hope and fear they now danced upon. And then, during a quiet moment towards the end of the film, Ethan squeezed her hand. "Mom, you're my favorite hero," he whispered, as the screen lit up with victory and celebration. His words felt like an anchor amid the chaos. "Mom, you've got this," she repeated to herself, leaning into the warmth of his belief, but the lingering question tugged at her heart like a shadow: would being his hero be enough to overcome the dark days ahead? As they shared ice cream and dreams on that couch, the comfortable warmth around them felt fragile. What came next? Would her hero's journey help guide them through the challenges waiting in the wings? There were still battles to face, and Sarah knew she needed to dig deep to help her son conquer them. As the credits rolled and the night settled, uncertainty crept back in. Would they rise together, or would the fight ahead leave scars too deep to heal? The next morning dawned with a gentle brilliance, sunlight filtering through the curtains, casting playful shapes across the floor. Sarah took a moment, standing in the kitchen, letting the aroma of brewing coffee envelop her. She closed her eyes, hoping it would breathe courage into her day. The stillness felt both comforting and disconcerting, a delicate balance of peace and lingering unease. "Mom! Can I have pancakes?" Ethan's voice erupted from the living room, bursting with energy as if the sun had poured into him as well. She smiled, moving to the fridge. "Pancakes it is. How about superhero-shaped pancakes?" "Yes!" Ethan shouted, laughter spilling through the kitchen like sunlight. As she mixed the batter, her heart warmed. Moments like these gave her strength. She poured the batter onto the hot griddle, watching it bubble and sizzle. The familiar sounds flooded her mind with memories, a rhythm of childhood that felt like an embrace. Patrick wandered in, running a hand through his messy hair. "You're spoiling him," he teased. "Can you blame me?" She replied, her tone playful yet layered with unspoken gratitude for the normalcy they were carving out together. "Can I have mine with lots of syrup?" Ethan chimed in, eyes sparkling like the morning light. "Only if you promise to share," Sarah countered, flipping the pancake with a flourish. After breakfast, the trio settled into their daily routine. They tackled chores like a team. Ethan insisted on being super helper while Patrick loaded the dishwasher, and Sarah wiped down the counters. A sense of achievement hung in the air, small victories woven into the fabric of their day. Later, they ventured outside. The warmth of the sun wrapped around them like a soft blanket. "What should we do today?" Patrick asked, glancing between Sarah and Ethan, excitement bubbling beneath the surface. "Can we go to the park?" Ethan chirped, bouncing on his toes. "I want to swing super high." Sarah hesitated for a fraction of a second, casting her mind towards the looming uncertainties. But she quickly pushed those thoughts aside. "Absolutely. Let us race," she replied, her voice brightening. The park was buzzing with laughter and chatter, children darting about while parents chatted under the shade of towering trees. They found a shaded spot, and Ethan dashed towards the swings, his laughter trailing behind him like a comet's tail. As Sarah pushed him higher, that familiar knot clenched in her chest again, but this time, she tried to anchor herself in the joy radiating from her son. "Look at me, Mom. I'm flying!" Ethan shouted, face lit with joy. "Just like a superhero," Patrick added, grinning widely. Suddenly, Ethan's voice cut through her thoughts. "Mom, can we come here every day?" he asked, sincerity echoing as if the weight of his request rested on her heart. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. "I'd love that, buddy." It was hard to say when they'd get to come back, but today felt special, a moment suspended outside of time. After enjoying the swings, they ventured to the sandbox, where Ethan dug eagerly, creating intricate castles adorned with twigs and leaves. As he poured his excitement into the little fortress, Sarah allowed herself to breathe more deeply, chuckling at his focus, but as she watched, a little girl approached Ethan, her hands reaching out for a toy truck. "Can I play?" she asked, her voice tiny yet confident. Ethan hesitated, his expression shifting to uncertainty. Sarah's heart sank. Was that fear lurking behind his eyes? "Remember, buddy, sharing is what superheroes do," she gently reminded him, her voice soft yet encouraging. Ethan glanced at the girl and then back at her, grappling with the idea. For a moment, fear and courage seemed to dance in his gaze. "Okay," he replied, the decision heavy on him. The little girl beamed as he handed over the truck, and a surprising wave of pride surged through Sarah. In that moment, she realized that perhaps their journey of healing wasn't just about facing fears but also about learning how to lift others up. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, Sarah felt lightness in her chest for the first time in a while. Yet behind her joy, something else lurked, a faint whisper of worry. What if the next encounter was tougher? What if today couldn't replicate itself? As they packed up to head home, the laughter and warmth still wrapped around them, she was left wondering. Would Ethan's bravery stand strong against the trials that lay ahead, or would they find themselves once again grappling with the shadows lurking in the background? That night, as the sky darkened with hints of swirling stars, she lay awake, contemplating not just her son's battles, but her own. Could she continue to be the hero Ethan believed her to be? Would her courage measure up as challenges loomed ever closer? And as sleep began to take hold, one thought surged through her mind, a quiet, daunting truth. Was she ready to confront the next test that would come their way? The morning sun poured through the window, bright and unyielding, flooding Sarah's room with light. She stirred awake, the warmth coaxing her into a new day. The comforting hum of life outside her room beckoned her, the world continued moving, busy and unrelenting. Yet, inside her home, moments were sacred, wrapped in a delicate fabric of routine and love. As she slipped into her slippers, the playful sounds of Ethan echoed up the hallway, a melody of laughter that whispered hope in her heart. She entered the kitchen to find him already perched at the table, a half-eaten bowl of cereal in front of him, spoon in hand. "Mom! You won't believe it. I'm going to make the tallest tower ever today," Ethan declared, eyes shining with mischief and enthusiasm. Sarah chuckled softly, her heart swelling with pride. "Really? How tall?" "Like all the way to the sky." "I'll need your help, though," he said, his little hands gesticulating wildly as if showing what the tower would look like. "Of course, my little architect," she replied, ruffling his hair. She poured herself a cup of coffee, letting the steam rise an anchor for her racing thoughts. After breakfast, the plan was set. They would spend the afternoon together building the tower at the park, promising to use everything nature had to offer. She could already envision the laughter they would share, the teamwork growing stronger, like roots entwining underground. When they arrived at the park, the sun shone brightly overhead. Clouds drifted lazily, and the air was packed with the joyful cries of children. Ethan dashed ahead, excitement coursing through him, tugging at her heartstrings. "Wait up, buddy. We have to find the perfect spot," she yelled, a smile dancing on her lips. Ethan slowed, turning around with an exaggerated sigh. "Ah, Mom. But I need to start now." His eagerness was intoxicating. They combed through the park, finally settling on a secluded area, wooded enough to provide plenty of materials for their creation. "Okay. First, we need some big sticks," Ethan shouted, eyes darting around. As they gathered materials, she noticed a few other kids watching them, whispers weaving through the air. Her heart thudded. Would this be the moment they faced challenges again? Would it send Ethan tumbling back into his insecurities? "Mom! Look at this one!" he exclaimed, dragging a branch over. "That's perfect!" She cheered, taking it from him, pretending to weigh it clumsily. "This will be the foundation." But as the builds began, the children hesitated, some still whispering among themselves. Ethan noticed them, shifting slightly in his stance, uncertain. "Do you think they want to join us?" she asked, choosing to lean into the uncertain moments. I don't know," he whispered, glancing back at the children before looking up at her. "Why don't you ask them?" Ethan blinked, processing her words. The internal battle on his face was painfully familiar. Would he choose fear or courage? "Hey!" he finally called, his voice a mixture of bravery and shyness. "Do you want to help us build?" A few eyebrows raised. One girl stepped forward, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Can I really help?" "Yeah," Ethan replied, newfound confidence surging. "If you're a superhero, you can." The girl giggled, running over, and more kids followed. Sarah's heart danced as she witnessed the transformation in Ethan. They worked together, laughter rising to mingle with the chirping of birds. Each stick added to their tower became a symbol of connection, of unity. And with every structure they built, Sarah could feel tension lifting. But outside the joy, there was a shadow. The doubt still lingered inside her, twisting and turning knots of anxiety. How would Ethan handle conflict if they encountered any? What if the doubts returned, clawing at his newfound bravery? As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, the tower took shape, wobbly but undeniably theirs. "Can we see it from far away?" Ethan asked, beaming with pride. "Let us step back," Sarah replied. They paused, taking in their creation, hearts full. For today, they had triumphed over uncertainty, facing fears side by side. But as they stood there, side by side, watching their structure sway gently, a thought stabbed at her chest. Tomorrow could bring new challenges. Would their strength hold up under pressure? She squeezed Ethan's shoulder. Today had been a win, but deep down, Sarah knew tomorrow held its own questions. The tug of unease tightened as night approached. What awaited them on their next adventure into the unknown? The next day arrived, and with it came a sense of renewed determination. Ethan bounded down the stairs, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "Mom! Today is the day we finish our tower, right?" Sarah paused for a moment, holding on to the sunlight streaming through the window. This was more than a tower. It was a testament to resilience, hope, and their unbreakable bond. "Absolutely, buddy. Let us get everything ready." As they packed up their supplies for the park, laughter filled the kitchen. The freedom they felt yesterday hung thick in the air, propelling them forward like the breeze nudging an eagle into flight. When they arrived at the park, Ethan darted off, searching for materials to perfect their tower. Sarah watched him with a mix of pride and worry, aware that the world could change in an instant. But today, she promised herself, they would focus only on the joy. Together, they tackled the building, each stick and leaf carefully placed by two hands, one small and eager, the other big and nurturing. The other children from yesterday's adventure soon joined in, voices blending in a chorus of laughter. "Look! I found a big one!" Ethan exclaimed, dragging a hefty branch over. "This will be the top." "Good idea. Just like a crown." Sarah laughed. As they worked, Sarah felt a whisper of peace settle in her heart. Whatever struggles lay ahead, they would face them together. It was a promise forged in their laughter, in the way Ethan's determination ignited her own. As the tower rose, its crooked silhouette bore witness to their efforts, imperfections and all. They stepped back to admire their creation, a mix of twigs and leaves that somehow felt like a fortress against the world. "We did it!" Ethan shouted, his joy contagious. And just like that, doubts that lingered began to fade. But her heart flipped when she noticed a group of kids growing restless nearby, glancing over with judgment written in their expressions. "Mom, do you think they're laughing at our tower?" Ethan's voice dropped slightly, uncertainty shading his excitement. His words pierced through the moment, a reminder of the lingering shadows. "Let us go talk to them, okay? Maybe they'd like to add some ideas to our tower." Ethan hesitated, fear flickering across his face. But Sarah squeezed his shoulder, offering her unwavering support. "One step at a time. You can do this." With a slight nod, he took a breath and approached the group. Sarah watched, her heart thundering, as he went from timid to brave, extending the invitation to join in their tower-building adventure. Surprisingly, one girl stepped forward, a spark in her eye. "I'd love to help. It looks so fun." With that simple affirmation, the kids surrounded them, laughing, sharing ideas, and swapping stories. And as the tower grew higher, Sarah realized they weren't just building something, they were constructing a bridge of connection. It was powerful to see Ethan relinquishing his fears, allowing his creativity to flourish in the company of new friends. As they finished the tower, a sense of achievement washed over them. Together, they stood back, proudly celebrating their collaborative efforts. "We should name it," Ethan declared. "The Tower of Friendship." A child suggested, and applause erupted amongst the group. "Perfect." Ethan beamed, and just like that, joy filled the air, hovering as a protective cloud. As the sun began to set, Sarah's heart swelled with hope. This wasn't just a victory against outside judgment, it was a triumph over their own fears. Driving home that evening, the laughter echoed in the car, filling every corner with warmth and happiness. Patrick had joined them for pizza, his presence a soothing balm after the day's excitement. "Today was amazing," Ethan chimed. "We built a real tower." "You sure did," Sarah said, glancing back at Patrick with a grateful smile. "I couldn't have asked for a better day." He met her gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. Tomorrow would surely bring new challenges, but they were ready to embrace it, together. They finished their dinner, and while Ethan played in the living room, Sarah took a moment in the kitchen to breathe deeply, the vibrant chatter buzzing around her. For too long, fear had tethered her to the ground, but today had been different. Today, she felt hope. With gratitude swelling within her, she whispered softly, "We'll keep building, no matter what." Through the day's laughter and innocence, she was reminded that sometimes being a hero meant simply choosing to face each day head-on, to build anew each time fears threatened to shake their foundation. As night draped over the world, a silent promise lingered in the warmth of her little home together: they could conquer mountains. In the heart of her soul, Sarah knew they could balance love, dreams, and everything in between. And as sleep began to embrace her, the shadows didn't seem so dark anymore. They were warriors in their own right, fighting side by side to forge a brighter future, both for Ethan and for herself. This was their worthy journey, and they weren't alone. Now it was time for you, dear reader, to join them on this wild adventure. You need to subscribe now to follow Sarah and Ethan as they embrace life's challenges. Hit that like button now to feed the algorithm and show you support the story you cherish. Comment below with your reactions to this beautiful transformation. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need some inspiration. This is the moment to make an impact.